Next on the Channel 7 News at 5, new sex education guidelines are proposed for California schools. Grab a pencil because we want to know your opinion.
Tens of thousands of people are without gas tonight after workers bust a pipeline. And the search is on for the winner of $4 million in the lotto, a ticket that was bought at a San Francisco store.
I'm Dean Edell. House calls and the quiz coming up. You can phone me now, toll-free, 800-634-7770.
I'm Anna Chavez with Gary Rebstock and the rest of the Channel 7 News team next on the News at 5.
Once again, your favorite stars are doing their best to put up a good front. There's Newhart's Tom Poston, Ted Lange from The Love Boat, sister stars Tracy and Missy Gold, Gladys Knight, and a star who's always a real pip,
Crazy Arlene from Days of Our Lives.
Hollywood Squares, tonight at 7:30 on Channel 7.
Our journalists in Russia talk to their journalists in America on the next Donahue from Russia.
Tomorrow at 4 on Channel 7.
If you own a wagon and figured you just had to sacrifice style, don't look now.
What kind of a wagon is that?
Dad, it's a Sable wagon.
If you have a standard family sedan but didn't get V6 power standard, don't look now.
What kind of car is that?
It was a Sable.
If you're thinking of buying a car to attract a little attention, look to Mercury Sable. With hundreds in stock and a new 6-year, 60,000-mile warranty, now's the time to see the remarkable Mercury Sable at your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
The Super Bowl of Poker, tonight on Channel 7 News at 6. Now, Channel 7 News at 5, a Bay Area tradition, with Anna Chavez, Gary Rebstock, House Calls with Dr. Dean Edell, meteorologist Pete Giddings, Russ Coughlin's commentary, and greengrocer Joe Carcione.
Good evening. A new state proposal is recommending now that teachers be allowed to talk with students as young as 9 about AIDS, sex, and morality. Today, the State Board of Education accepted updated guidelines that will give individual school districts the discretion to expand sex education. The superintendent of California schools says the new guidelines meet new needs.
I think the family and the school have got to be working together. I don't see them at cross purposes. This is a societal problem of very high magnitude. We've got a tremendous amount of teenage pregnancy going on. We have students' lives who are being ruined. They're dropping out. They're really not mature enough to make this kind of decision. They're getting peer pressure and societal pressure with advertising and other influences. And I think the schools should give them the facts in a moral and ethical context.
The Family Life Education Guide recommends that students be taught about AIDS, homosexuality, masturbation, abortion, and birth control. The guide also promotes abstinence from sex as the only sure form of birth control. It will also emphasize the family as the normal social structure, but respect for others as well.
I think the broad majority of parents and citizens in California, in the nation, want some form of sexual instruction, sex education in the schools. They want it to have a moral base, they want it to have an ethical base, they want it to be realistic, they don't want it to be vague, and they want it to be consistent with that child's family values.
School districts have the option of accepting the new guidelines, which basically revamp standards recommended in 1972. The school board panel that devised the new guidelines emphasized that students cannot be taught about sex subjects without their parents' permission. Several groups have fired criticisms at the new sex education plan, basically objecting to the way in which children will learn about homosexuality. The specific details of how that subject will be introduced have not yet been determined.
And as you know, Anna, Superintendent Honig says that he thinks there is great support in the state for this kind of sex education in schools. We'd like to know what you think. Should the new sex education guidelines be used in our public schools? If you'd like to register your opinion, call this number, area code 415-478-8683. That's 478-VOTE. You have to have a touch-tone phone to dial. Now, once you get through on this line, you will be given instructions on how to register your vote. This is not a scientific survey, but we would like to know your opinion. We'll bring you the results of the poll as they come in and complete results tomorrow. And to better understand this issue of teen sexuality, tune in, we invite you tonight at Channel 7 News at 11 o'clock. Cheryl Jennings will have a special report titled Teen Sex, Out of Control? That's tonight at 11 on Channel 7 News.
And Gary, Millbrae's Mills High School tackled another serious problem among young people today, abuse of drugs and alcohol. Channel 7's Ron Nasso reports that today's seminar grew out of a recent report about drugs.
The pilot project began with a day of orientation. Symposiums like this one are designed to exercise community awareness and to place more emphasis on positive lifestyles, meaning drug-free.
We have devoted our latest issue. This is a newspaper that goes out over 200,000 in circulation, and it's the centerfold is one on drugs and our concern on how to handle drugs.
For students, it may have been a day of no classes. Instead, though, they were required to attend the all-day program that included 45 different presentations and to listen to speakers who offered advice about how to attack this serious problem.
The main objective here is quite simple, to discourage drug and alcohol abuse, not just among students, but parents and staff as well.
Among the speakers was the Attorney General of California, John Van de Kamp, who explained to the audience the goals of the School Law Enforcement Partnership, which includes the promotion of safe schools and the reduction of truancy.
The only way that that's going to happen is for all of us, whether it's parents, students, law enforcement, churches, community organizations, all of us, to get serious about drug abuse prevention and alcohol abuse prevention.
Out of all the speakers at the symposium, the Attorney General was the only one to receive a standing ovation after his remarks.
They showed me that, they care about me and, about my friends and my fellow students.
Many others who attended the symposium believe there should be more of them held during the school year. In Millbrae, Ron Nasser, Channel 7 News.
Attorney General Van de Kamp also hopes there will be more of these seminars in schools throughout the state.
Another San Francisco supervisor is in the race for Congress tonight. Carol Ruth Silver today became the third person and third supervisor to officially declare her candidacy, with an announcement to reporters in front of the federal building of what she thinks the issues will be.
It's about life and death issues. The question of who shall live and who shall die, whether AIDS is going to be the chief focus of our medical care, and it should be, whether Alzheimer's disease is also going to be something that is funded by the national government, whether my sons are going to have to go and fight in a foreign adventure and kill people or be killed, whether we're going to have toxic pollutants continue to be dumped into our oceans, polluting the oceans not only for San Francisco, but for all the countries of the world, and whether we're going to continue to use the skies as a toxic dumping ground for airborne pollutants.
Supervisor Silver explains her positions in more detail in full-page ads in today's local newspapers. Her opposition so far for the congressional seat left vacant by the death of Sala Burton includes Supervisors Harry Britt and Bill Maher, and tomorrow, Nancy Pelosi, the candidate endorsed by Sala Burton before her death, is expected to announce, and Mayor Dianne Feinstein is now said to be considering a run for that 5th District seat as well. Los Altos City Councilman Terrence Cullinan was found shot to death in his car last night. The 46-year-old former mayor apparently died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. A San Mateo County Sheriff's spokesman said a suicide note was found, indicating the councilman was having trouble with personal problems, coping with them. Among them, Cullinan's 18-year-old son died last March from a brain tumor.
About 11,000 gas customers in the South Lake Tahoe region are without service right now after a main pipe ruptured and their gas won't be turned back on for a couple of days. This morning, a construction worker was injured when he accidentally ruptured the line along Highway 395 south of Lake Tahoe in Douglas County, Nevada. The highway was closed in that area all morning. Nobody other than the construction worker was injured, but the bedroom communities of Minton and Gardnerville lost their gas service. Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, the main was repaired. Now the restoration of gas service will begin, and it's going to take several days, since each home will have to be reconnected to the main line feeds.
There was a lot of rhetoric, but little resolution to the problems of homeless people at last night's Berkeley City Council meeting. As we've been reporting, the organizers of a tent city near Berkeley City Hall say there are at least 1,000 homeless people in Berkeley, and they want the city to quickly work out a plan so the homeless can fix up and live in vacant housing.
And instead of spending money demolishing the houses and then selling the lot to a real estate person for $100 or $200, which is what a lot of real estate people here are trying to scramble for to get right now. They're trying to get something that they're really going to get over on. It's one reason why they're against our movement of homeless.
Meanwhile, it will be at least a week before the occupants of the tent city are forced to move out, and a committee has been appointed to work out temporary as well as permanent solutions to the problems of Berkeley's homeless. Shortly before Christmas in 1985, the San Francisco Police Officers Association launched Arrest Hunger, their program to feed the hungry. And for the past 2 Christmases, the police have rounded up lots of food for lots of hungry people. Today, they managed to spread their good cheer into the Valentine season. Channel 7's Lisa Stark was with them in the Tenderloin.
These are not your usual food servers, but then this is not your usual luncheon. San Francisco police officers, from the cop on the beat to the top brass, volunteered their time today to serve meals to the homeless, part of the officers' Arrest Hunger program.
Since there was such a overwhelming response at the holiday season, we had funds left over to pick a date like Valentine's Day to kind of show that police officers have a heart too.
There's no question that hunger is a big problem in San Francisco, evidenced by this long line of people waiting to get into Glide at noon. The line stretched all the way down the block.
At least 50% of the people that we feed every month are new people in this city.
So the problem is a never-ending one.
Never-ending one. Never-ending.
Williams estimates that free lunches are handed out to 6,000 San Francisco residents every day.
It means we can eat every day. Don't have to worry about the kids being hungry. Or myself.
Today's special lunch not only filled empty stomachs, but increased understanding on both sides of the lunch counter. You see a lot of these people all the time, I would imagine.
Yes, every day. And it's just really nice to see a lot of happy faces.
Shows that they're human beings, too, and they have a lot more understanding of people than we give them credit for a lot of times.
Today, credit was given where credit was due. The officers got heartfelt thanks and a round of applause. In San Francisco, Lisa Stark, Channel 7 News.
The Police Officers Arrest Hunger program has already been cited by a White House conference as a model that other cities can use. And the officers tell us that they are proud of that and would be even happier to encourage any and all local groups to follow their lead.
A good lead, too. Coming up next, much more news, including the story of why some East Bay strawberries will be under scrutiny by scientists experimenting with genetic engineering. Then a little later on, Dr. Dean Edell will join us with house calls. You can reach him now, toll free at 800-634-7770.
You get it all at Sun Valley Ford in Concord. Save with 3.9% financing, plus get up to $600 cash back. Save with over 300 new cars, trucks, and vans, all with no payments till May 1987, but only at Sun Valley Ford in Concord.
This weekend, we're paying tremendous trade allowances at Sun Valley Hyundai in Concord's trade-up sale. That means with any old trade worth just $2,000, buy Hyundai's top model with all this equipment for only $157 a month, $29 to choose from. But it positively ends Monday at Sun Valley Hyundai in Concord.
Spring's almost here. Here comes hay fever with the watery eyes and the sneezing. I hope you see your doctor soon. Last year, doctors helped millions of people get fast relief from their hay fever symptoms without the degree of drowsiness often experienced with anti-allergy products. Now you can put your hay fever to sleep while you stay awake. Go see your doctor. Gesundheit. Be prepared.
Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals.
The doctor will see you now.
I oil it.
Kids are born, so moms need the stain lifter.
Ooh. A-L-L. How does it work?
All goes right to the stain and just lifts it away. For my little stain makers, I get the stain lifter.
Whoa. A-L-L.
It's the stain lifter.
All now with more cleaning power.
You could save a little anytime, but during Dollar Dazzlers at True Value hardware stores, you can save a lot on hundreds of household supplies. Look at some of the 84 items on sale for just $1 each. You can organize your kitchen, expand your workshop with new supplies, or get a head start on houseplants. Paint where you need it and stock up on your favorite cleaning aids, only $1 each. Fill your house with savings from the Dollar Dazzler Circular and most True Value hardware stores and home centers.
President Reagan met again today with the 3-member commission that he has appointed to investigate the Iranian weapons deal. They reportedly went over selected personal notes written by the president about that subject. No details of what was discussed have been made available, but the commission has been given another extension of its deadline. Their report will now be due on February 26th. Wide-ranging talks are said to be going on in Lebanon, talks that could result in the freedom of Westerners kidnapped in Beirut. What the Muslim kidnappers want is a number of their colleagues to be freed from prisons in Israel and elsewhere. And now stepping into the picture is a Lebanese militia leader who helped free Americans in the past.
I'm preparing a precise list now, which when complete, I will give the Israelis.
As for the latest 4 Americans kidnapped in Beirut, the Israelis say they are not negotiating for the Americans' release at this time and have not been requested to do so by the U.S. government. Meanwhile, at a Palestinian refugee camp in Beirut, an indication today that rival factions may be trying to work out their differences. Amal militiamen have agreed to allow the first shipments of food and medical supplies into this Palestinian camp in several months. There have been reports of people starving to death in the camp. The move is seen as the first step towards a ceasefire.
In Manila, Philippines President Corazon Aquino formally declared her new constitution to be in full force as of today. Earlier this month, the constitution was approved by 76% of the Philippine people. The new charter also extends Aquino's term of office to 1992. Today, Aquino ordered the army to resume operations against communist rebel forces there. A 60-day ceasefire truce ended last Sunday. Kris Kristofferson, the star of ABC's controversial Amerika series, has become a spokesman for the United Nations. The actor is appearing in a public service announcement on the UN's peacekeeping activities. It's designed to offset the negative image of the World Organization depicted in the 14-hour drama series.
When countries are seeking peace, sometimes a special kind of soldier can help.
I was grateful for the opportunity to speak up for the United Nations because I believe that if we believe in equality before God, we have to respect and support the United Nations.
Kristofferson defends his appearance in Amerika, saying he did it out of a sense of duty and not for the money.
Here at home, an area in the East Bay will be the site of a test of genetically altered bacteria. The makers of the bacteria, known as frostband, say that their product could save millions of dollars in crops that are lost every year to frost damage, if it works. Today, the Environmental Protection Agency gave approval for testing at 3 sites, one at Brentwood in Contra Costa County and 2 others in San Benito County. Channel 7's Bill Van Amberg talked today to people in Brentwood whose lives could be affected if frostband is successful.
This pastoral field in Contra Costa County could soon contain more than just the strawberries being planted for it. It could become the first test site in the country for a genetically altered life form, one of 3 possible sites, the other 2 in San Benito County, that the EPA has approved to test a bacteria to battle frost.
All of the sites are really appropriate for the test, and the EPA has indicated that it would allow us to do the test at any of the 3 sites. What we're really looking for now is the response of the community in those places. We want to do it in a place where the community is excited and wants the test to happen. I would say so far the communities have been very responsive.
That's certainly a change for advanced genetic sciences, which last year braved protests about its planned Monterey County test and an EPA violation for checking on its own roof whether its bacteria would kill trees. The EPA said, however safe, that should have been in a greenhouse. That's exactly where all its other tests have been, though. In fact, frostband, as it's called, is almost old hat here, but is still new ground for regulators, even though, while the science is advanced, the concept is very simple. One genetic trait in a natural bacteria makes it help frost form. What AGS did is not create new life, but just take away that trait.
We have removed a small segment of a single gene that would normally allow the bacterium to cause frost injury, and now it cannot. Now it's like you've taken a problem and you've turned it into a solution for farmers.
UC Berkeley wanted to test a similar bacteria near Tule Lake last fall and failed, though, because of public concerns about mutations. But in Brentwood, at least,
I don't think the people are afraid. There's been a little bit of opposition, but most of the opposition is from outside of our community. It's a farming community, basically, and the people are for new ideas in farming, and we feel it will save the farmer lots of money if it can do away with frost damage.
And that feeling is much echoed here. While a few families do oppose it, most think it will be safe, even needed.
We've done a lot of testing here over the years for chemical companies with different chemicals to give them an idea as to what it'll do or what it won't do. And if you don't do those things, you don't progress.
It is very possible that this Brentwood site will not be the site chosen for the frostband test. We'll find that out in about 2 weeks when the people at AGS make their final decision. Even then, they'll have to go through more public hearings to get a state permit. before this first genetically altered bacteria ever gets out into the fields. In Brentwood, I'm Bill Van Amberg, Channel 7 News, East Bay Bureau.
If this spring's tests are successful, there are still 2 to 3 more years of testing required, and a commercial product wouldn't be available for several more years after that. As we continue tonight, we're going to find out about our local weather. Not likely any frost, but Pete Giddings will tell us what the forecast is, and then we'll tell you how the projects to light up the bridges have hit the jackpot. Stay with us.
Don't move. I'll be right back. This is another really good golden light finger food. Lightly breaded chicken. All you gotta do is pop them in the oven, set the timer, and just look at that. Hot, juicy chicken with a breading that's light, crisp, and desirable.
Golden light, lightly breaded finger foods from Hormel. Now in chicken.
Should you ever drive from Paris to Dakar, we'd suggest a Mitsubishi Montero. Montero's won the Paris to Dakar rally 4 years straight, so it knows the shortcuts. But should you stay closer to home, you can still enjoy Montero's 2.6 liters, the independence of four-wheel drive, and the crafting of its civilized interior. Because you don't need a road rally to enjoy Montero, just an impulsive imagination. Mitsubishi.
We've added something to Oscal, the calcium supplement doctors have recommended for over 35 years. You may wonder what we could add, since Oscal is the brand doctors recommend 10 to 1 over the closest competitor. Well, we've added a chewable to the Oscal family. Delicious Bavarian cream flavor to take every day. Couldn't wait, huh? Oscal 500 chewable. Doctors recommend our calcium. You'll recommend our taste.
There ain't no substitute for honest-to-goodness Kentucky Fried Chicken. I say, Kentucky Fried Chicken. We do chicken right.
The place, Smith's. The event, last 6 days of a reorganization sale. The deal, further reductions up to 70% off. The time, last 6 days of Smith's spectacular sale prices.
Let's take a look now at the results of our news poll. Earlier in the newscast, we asked you the question, should the new sex education be taught in schools? So far, take a look at the responses. An overwhelming yes vote with 280 people calling in on the yes side, 15% or 53 votes voting in no. If you'd like to register your vote about this question, call this number, 478-8683. In area code 415, you must have a touch-tone phone. You'll get instructions once you make that call as to how you can register your opinion. Now it's time for Pete Giddings to bring us a look at the weather.
How much rain did you get last night? A lot, a little, medium?
Little, on and off.
How much did you get?
Couple drops.
Couple of drops. Kentfield picked up 0.8 of an inch of rain, just shy of a full inch. Places to the north, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they don't come in with an excess of 2 inches. We have not had the totals yet. Yet the southern portion of the Bay Area and the East Bay were dramatically shortchanged, as they only came in with less than 1/10 of an inch in a number of locations. Temperatures this morning from 41 at Petaluma to highs of 69 this afternoon at Fremont and San Jose. This is the way it looked this morning as that system passed on to the east, waiting for the next in the series of 3 that are sitting in the Pacific. Let's go out into the ocean and take a look at number 2. We've already shown you the one that was sitting on top of us. Let's draw in the one that's to come in. And the one behind it is sitting just off behind that low pressure system that you see above the jet stream. But you can see there's been a dramatic shift to the east, and now the atmosphere is going to be aimed directly at us, so don't expect not to be hit. And that leaves us with a forecast with, tonight, increase the cloudiness. Tomorrow, rain at times, mainly in the North Bay, but spreading south as the day goes on. And then Friday, we get rain for everyone. Snow in the mountains, anywhere between 1 and 6 inches from the storm that went through last night.
That's good news. Thank you. You showed us a picture of the Bay Bridge there. And we have some good news to report about the projects to light up the Bay Area's 2 biggest bridges. Both were given a big boost today. Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E, is going to give the Golden Gate Bridge a huge grant to install permanent lighting for its 50th anniversary this year. And it will also give $100,000 to the Bay Bridges Light Up the Bridge Fund. Both announcements made today at the home of Charlotte Maillard, chairman of the Friends of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlotte.
PG&E will give $420,000 for permanent lighting on the Golden Gate Bridge.
And as you will recall, the estimate of the contractors was that the total cost would be about $833,000. And we're hopeful that our contribution of half the cost will encourage other businesses in the Bay Area, as well as private citizens, to come forward and to fund the balance. I would add that
Darn good start, and it almost puts the Light Up the Bay Bridge plan over the top. PG&E says the bridge lights will be low energy, low cost sodium vapor lights. And it's got to be night to really appreciate them. Right now we're going to go to Suzanne Saunders in the Channel 7 newsroom to find out what's coming up in our next news hour. Suzanne?
Gary, the movie Platoon has been showered with Oscar nominations. We'll find out what the impact this gripping movie about the Vietnam War is having on the real lives of veterans. And the Monterey Archdiocese hopes to capitalize on the Pope's visit by charging the media to cover the event in September. South Lake Tahoe shivers in a winter chill as the basin's main gas supply line has been severed again. And Bob McKenzie reports to us from the Greenfelt Jungle and the Las Vegas Super Bowl of poker. That's all coming up on the news at 6. Now back to the news at 5.
See you then, Suzanne. There is some lucky person out there tonight with a lotto ticket worth $4 million, someone who probably doesn't know it. The winning ticket was sold at Chinatown's Lunhua Market and was picked in the January 17th drawing. 4 tickets won a total of $16 million in that drawing. Only 3 people have already come forward to claim their money. State lottery officials say they will put ads in local papers in hopes of finding the ticket holder. Whoever it is has until July 17th to claim $4 million. Now it's time to turn to our $1 Million Doctor in the 5 and 10 cent store, Dean Edell.
The quiz today concerns the boss, and I hope he's not watching.
Some of the best people in their fields work in today's Navy. People who believe being the best means more when it's done for their country. Navy know-how. It's working for America.
A grand hotel like the St. Gregory is a city unto itself, filled with fascinating people. Husbands, wives, lovers, some of the nicest people, and some of the strangest. Just like the people where you live.
Is that a friend of yours?
Arthur Haley's Hotel.
And to find out the latest about the people in the Bay Area,
Watch Channel 7 News tonight with Pete Wilson and Suzanne Saunders.
medical research seemed very exciting to me, like being a detective. So when I became a doctor, I went into research at NIH. But after a while, I really missed being with patients. If you like people, you like practicing medicine. That's really it. Though sometimes, I still feel a bit like a detective.
As a member of Kaiser Permanente, you can have a personal physician, one like Dr. Nicholas Rosenstein. Kaiser Permanente, good people, good medicine.
Welcome to Hillshire Farm, where great taste is always at home.
So you want to speed up the way we make our Hillshire Farm smoked sausage?
Oh, yes, with high-speed equipment.
Hold on. But young man, you can't rush great taste.
Hand-selected cuts of pork and beef are slowly smoked for a taste that others can't beat. He's right. Try it yourself.
Delicious. I wouldn't change a thing.
And for breakfast, enjoy the great taste of Hillshire Farm's Sunrise Smokies.
Each week, over 1.3 million Bay Area shoppers prove that Lucky has lower prices overall. This shopper proved it.
I shopped at the Lucky store, as usual, and I bought the same items at another store, and I found that I saved $12.10 by shopping at Lucky's. Produce department at Lucky's for a shop is great. Meats are great.
Lower prices overall and more. Prove it at Lucky.
I proved it.
Well, time to spend some time with the doctor for today.
He could have used you yesterday, Doctor.
Yeah, where were you?
Called in.
Couldn't get through. The line was busy, huh?
Yeah, that's right. You know, when you're sick, you can never get to the doctor. That's the
For
way
you,
it
I
goes.
would have made a house call. Long enough to leave the desk. Workplace. We're talking about stress and discontent in the workplace. A new survey out today. What is the most likely cause of stress in the workplace? Lousy pay? Work that's too boring? Having too much work to do? Hating your coworkers? Or the bad boss? The bad boss. And if it's the bad boss, I apologize to the bad boss already. All right, Al in San Carlos. This is Dr. Edell, and you're on House Calls.
Yeah, hi. If a person is exposed to someone with AIDS, either by sexual contact or with needles, and this person has the AIDS disease, and this other person does this thing with him, how long would it be before? Well, first of all, what's the percentage chance of this person getting it, number one. And number two is, how long would it take to show up as a blood test positive?
You know, I don't know the answer to the first one concerning what the chances are. It certainly depends on the activity, and as you know, the exchange of bodily fluids, you don't have to tell me exactly what went on, but it sounds like you're seriously concerned. And as you know, the deposition of semen from one to the other is the highest risk that you could possibly take from a person who has AIDS. Al, I don't know the answer. I don't know anybody does. It's very difficult to get a statistic on that. If you can, you stop to think about it. How many times does this come up where a person knows that they have had, say, receptive sex with a person who has a virus? I would suspect it's not 100%. I'm not even going to guess. I would put it, it's stupid to guess. I just suspect it's not as high as most people would think. As to your other question, we have a couple of cases on record where we think we have nailed down the exposure, and the person turned positive on the blood test in a matter of a few weeks, 3 weeks in one case. So I would say for you, you got 3-4 weeks of sweating it a little. Get the test, but I would not count on turning positive in 3 or 4 weeks. As you know, we think it can really stretch out for a long, long time. So you need to have that test repeated. And if God, if there's anything that can rank right up there with actually contracting this virus, is certainly the months and months of aggravation that you have ahead of you, and that is something I'm talking about this a little more than I normally might, just to let people know it isn't just as simple as, oh, I caught the virus. It's living with those months and months of not knowing and going and waiting and expecting the blood test, Al. So I sure hope you. If you got away with it this time, then you learned something, and that is, you just have to find these things out ahead of time, and you can't even trust. I wouldn't even trust anybody. I would just take the appropriate and common precautions we all know about at this point. All right, let's see what the house calls Cameron came up with.
Is any easy, simple way to measure your cholesterol?
Nah, there's a woman who doesn't like needles. The only way really that you can do nowadays is in your vein. They put the needle in your arm up here and draw a big tube of blood. But there is something new. Let me show you. Take a look at this, because this just takes a little teeny bit of blood into a tube from a little finger prick, and the blood from the tube empties on that little slide there, and the slide, after the blood is on that, goes into this machine called a reflectron. The machine takes around 3 minutes and spits out your level, 209 milligrams in this particular case, and that is a wonder. Now that's if you happen to prefer getting the finger prick as opposed to in the arm. Now, I like the arm better. It's more predictable. You see it, there it is, it's sliding in. This, you're waiting, when is it going to happen? But a lot of people do prefer this. It's a lot less blood. That is, I guess, the easiest way overall getting your blood cholesterol level. All right, oh yeah, and Tiburon. This is Dr. Edell, and you're in House Calls.
Hi, Dr. Edell. My boyfriend's cholesterol level and triglycerides are real high, and he went on a diet and cut out about 75% of his fats and sugar intake. And when he went to have another blood test, his levels are higher than they were to begin with.
Yeah, this happens. It could have been that the day he had it the first time, they were lower than normal. Triglycerides, realize, are very dependent upon what you ate in the preceding hours before the test. So you want to compare blood drawn exactly the same time after fasting overnight. Cholesterol is not that responsive, but realize that total cholesterol is not the whole picture. He might have a high level of the good kind of cholesterol, you see. There's a couple of different types, and he might be better off. I would pay less attention, by the way, to the cholesterol level than to what he's eating. If he's eating right, then you might want to ignore it. But there's one more thing. There are people who inherit a certain pattern of dealing with cholesterol. And I always worry that when a person calls up with a question like this, they're one of those people where you actually have a metabolic problem. There's type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Ask the doctor if he has one of these inherited lipid problems, in which case then diet is important, but you may need to put him on cholesterol-lowering medications and foods. There's lots of ways of lowering your cholesterol without lowering your intake. You should lower your intake too, but for instance, you saw our story on carrot juice. We did a story on charcoal capsules, certain kinds. There's a new kind of guar gum. It's a fiber. It comes in a drink, and they're going to be making it in the pasta soon. That actually lowers cholesterol without your changing your intake. So a lot of tricks to the trade there. Coming up at 6 o'clock, Some new updated information on our old friend nicotine gum. People getting hooked on the gum, and you're better off being hooked on gum than hooked on cigarettes. We'll talk a little about that at 6 if you're thinking of quitting cigarettes. For now, we're talking about stress in the workplace. Ooh, a big, big, big subject. What's the most common cause of stress in the workplace? Lousy pay? Work is too boring? Too much work? You hate your coworkers, or is it all the boss's fault? Blame it on the boss.
Well, we've both had all of these experiences at one time or another, or in combination at some time during our work history. But
we're in agreement that the most stressful for us was E.
E?
Bad boss.
Bad boss.
Well, that happens
I didn't say
a long time ago.
Bad boss, them, not me.
A long time ago.
I didn't say it. Yes, you're right. It is by a long shot, and this, what we're learning from this is that many bosses have never really learned management, how to handle people, and often aren't in touch the way that they think that they are, and that becomes a very important part. You know where this all started was companies calling in experts saying, this, I got a high absentee rate, my employees are getting sick, etc., and it turned out to be due to stress, and the ultimate cause at the top, where the buck stops. There, you said it. That's house calls. We'll be back tomorrow.
And, of course, what do you do with a bad boss? You give them a golden parachute. That builds the stress on the people that work with them as well. Thanks, Doc. Right now, before we go tell you what's coming up in our next segment, we want to update our public opinion poll for today. The question, of course, being, should there be new sex education guidelines in California's public schools? So far, the majority of calls saying yes to that. We'd like to hear what you have to say. The number to call in area code 415 is 478-8683. Please call.
And coming up next, Russ Coughlin talks about the Pope, the Catholic Church, and making money. A little later on, Carolyn Tyler brings us the final report in her series on Oprah Winfrey, the personal side of a talk show millionaire.
Hey-ho! That's quite a creation.
A wonderful selection, Hell.
And a lot of practice.
I'm a regular at Sizzler Salad Bar.
Me too.
Fresh fruits are my favorite.
Seafood salad for me.
So, would you like to join me?
Yes. Boy, I wish I could make a salad like that.
I'll teach you next time.
Tomorrow?
No, I was talking about seconds.
Oh. I'll take it. Very good, sir.
Over the course of a year, keeping track of your life can be even more exhausting than living it. So to make things less hectic, American Express presents yet another important Gold Card service. Order. Announcing the year-end summary. All your Gold Card charges over the past year itemized, categorized. Only from American Express.
If you're looking for a quality mattress at a sale price, don't miss this opportunity. Right now at Emporium Capwell, you can save 50% on selected Sealy and Serta mattresses. Save on premium styles like the Sealy Posture Form Century and the Serta Perfect Sleeper Serenade. These are premium mattresses at 50% savings. And remember, you get a bed frame at no extra charge when you purchase a premium set. So take advantage of these great savings during the mattress sale on now at Emporium Capwell.
Hi. All of us at American Ballet Theater are looking forward to an exciting new season. I hope you'll be able to join us.
This one leafy commercial world of make-a-buck philosophy. The Monterey